Hello, friends! In today's lesson, we will focus on drawing the mouth. We will set the main shadows, draw the highlights, and our task today will be to convey the texture we see in the photo. That's why we need to be very attentive and, without rushing, step by step, transfer all the small details that we notice. Well then, let's try. So friends, today we will focus on drawing the mouth. We will place the shadows. The main shadow will be under the upper lip, here. And here too on the lower lip. Then we will have halftones on the other areas. And later, with a kneaded eraser or eraser, we will draw the highlights. Let's start with the darkest parts. That will be the area inside the mouth. Let's take a 2B pencil and begin drawing. A little higher, probably. And here we erase a little, because the lower lip gets lost. If we look closely, inside we can even see a tooth, so we can lighten this shadow a little. The tooth, I think, will be a bit wider than we first marked. So I'll erase this part for now. And I think it will end around here. Here is a small bump. And here too, a dark part. Here we also see a bit of a tooth. Let's mark now how the lips go. Next, we shade a little inside here, but closer to the left, it gets lighter. I think about like this. And here, probably I raised it too high looking at the photo. The tooth should be a bit narrower. So we'll lower the lip line a little. Now let's take the HB pencil and build up the tone. For now, light, just as a base, and later we'll add more where needed, as we always do. Shading. And the same for the lower. Now let's strengthen the shadow above the upper lip. Let's mark at once where it will end. And this part, the upper area, is a bit lighter than the inner part. So now let's take the 2B pencil and add some tone. We don't touch the upper part yet, leave it as is. Later, we'll look at it in more detail. And it goes slightly upward here. Let's darken more because it's not enough. We compare shadows in tone with what we already drew and adjust with pencil pressure. And now let's see. I think we can take HB and go over this to smooth the white spots where the softer pencil didn't cover. And then we'll use a blending stump to make everything much smoother. Also here I see it should be darker at the edges, and it fades smoothly to 0. Let's add a bit more tone. It came out too pronounced. Not very distracting, but still visible. Maybe even darker here. Next, here on the right side, let's also darken. And further toward the center, it fades into halftone, gets lighter. Also toward the lip's edge, it lightens. I'll probably do this with HB. For the lips to look natural, we must remove the construction lines and blend them smoothly into tone. That way it will look more realistic, not just drawn. Here too, I think we need to add. Make the transition smoother. Add more dark inside, because again it got lost. After adding tone, it disappeared. So we take 2B and make it darker. Here too, I think, will be darker, just a little. If we look at the photo, here there will be a little triangle in light, so we must show it. Show that it is lighter. So we add more tone to the right. And here, let's make a smoother transition. And make the inside of the mouth darker on the left side. Here a bit straighter. Looks like I raised it too much. And now let's do the same for the lower lip. Here the shadow will be, let's mark it lightly. It will curve here and then fade into halftone. Further on the right and in the middle, since the light comes from here, naturally it will get brighter. So here we'll make it lighter in tone. Same with the upper. Let's add a bit of tone at the top. And here let's take the HB pencil and also slightly strengthen the middle. Here, along this line, there will be highlights, so we don't shade too much here. Further to this side, we add a little. And here in the center, too, we can show the form with a semicircle. And here, the form changes slightly. It's not just semicircular, it goes with a little bump. I think here it should be darker. Let's take 2B. And add more. Make it slightly wider. Add shadow. Another one above. Oh, wrong pencil. Need 2B. And here too, I think, a bit darker. Let's take the blending stump and smooth it gently. Also at the top. And with the same blending stump, since some graphite is left on it, we can gently, without pressing, draw the teeth. Even dabbing, so it doesn't get too dark. Here is light, and here too we need a bit of tone. Like that. Now let's take HB, or maybe 2H, and draw the gap between the teeth. Lightly, so it doesn't look strange. About like this. Take an eraser and slightly draw light here. Maybe erase too much, so let's add more. Now we already have the main light and shadow set. Now we need to add realism and draw the small details. Let's take 2B and show the main texture. We see here it goes like this. Looking at the photo, comparing, trying to match. Here another one goes. Here a little is visible. And here too we see a more distinct shadow edge here, not smooth, so we strengthen it a little. Here we can make it darker, so it's not just a line, but fades into shadow. Also strengthen here, add shadow here, here add a bit darker too. The blending smoothed it too much. And here too the shadow has a sharper edge, so strengthen it. Further, it curves here. We'll slightly draw the lower line of the upper lip, because here the shadow is also distinct. And also show texture here. And take HB to make these less sharp, and around add some more shadow. Here on the upper lip. Here we can lighten slightly with an eraser, like this. And maybe add a little here darker. Now let's add details on the lower lip too, with 2B. And here, show this one. It goes like a semicircle. Here. And how do we now turn these watermelon stripes into realistic lip texture? Very simple. We add shadow along the edges of these strokes we drew. And with an eraser, draw highlights. Here they stand out too much, so we'll add more base tone. For example, here, if we shade this part and add shadow on the right side, leave the left lighter, like this. And then take an eraser or kneaded eraser, shape it thin, and draw like this. In the photo, it's not as long, so we'll shorten it a little. Make it a bit sharper, and continue this way, drawing each section of the lips. Next, let's move right. Here, make it darker. Again, leave highlight here. Add tone, following the form. Here too, slightly darker strokes go like this. Here, darker. Again, we look at the photo and add tone where we see darker, drawing the texture. Here too, add a little shadow. And again, with the kneaded eraser, we draw, or with a thin eraser if you have one. Very convenient. Here, add a little highlight, show it more here, and adjust the form. Below, it gets a little darker, then fades into light. Highlight here also, a bit darker. This will probably be the darkest part. Strengthen it more. Then at the top it also gets darker and then fades into light. So above, near the teeth, we add shadow and smoothly fade it down into light, creating a gradient. This way we get volume. Let's continue to the right. Here we add. Here we see only a small little line. This shadow is a bit wrong. Let's adjust here. It won't go on to the left side. So let's erase a bit here. Take HB and shade again, but lighter. Also, I think the teeth came out a bit narrow. So let's erase shadow here. Make them wider. Let's continue drawing the lips. Again with 2B. Here we stopped. Make it a bit darker. More contrast. Here too with HB we can add a little. It's visible. The more details we add, the more realistic the portrait will look. Let's also draw the highlight here brighter. Darker near the teeth, because the light doesn't reach there, so naturally it will be darker. Also show form with a semicircle. Let's continue. Here, add darker at the edge and smoothly fade down into light. Here, the bottom line is clearer, not so blurred, so we'll show it. Here we'll add small wavy ones between them. And here too a little. Now, since it's lighter here, let's take HB. Better to add shadow where needed with it. Here, this line will be a little darker. A shadow line. And here too add a bit. And here is a line visible. We can also show it. Here it's a bit blurry, so we won't draw it strongly, just with light strokes. And here too add shadow, show this line stronger. I always look at the photo. Every move I check so I don't draw something unnecessary. Here goes such darkening. And we can even make these strokes brighter. Make them a little wider. This one too, make brighter. It got lost. Let's strengthen it. And this one also darker. And also draw highlights. I think it's easier with kneaded eraser. Shape it thin. Or also with an eraser. Take the 2H pencil and smooth transitions here. Also add a little shadow below. And at the top too, make a smooth transition. Add more tone inside the mouth. Maybe I'll even take 4B to make it darker. And I think the upper lip here is a bit lacking. We can add it slightly. Now we can add a bit of shadow at the corners of the mouth. I'll do it with blending to make it smoother. And let's take an eraser and adjust the lower lip. Show this transition because it got lost. Make this line a little thinner. Better add upward than downward, so the lip doesn't get too thick. Here too, this line is too visible. We need to smooth it. Blend it into the tone of the lips, not just a line. Add a little shadow here, following the form. Here I probably shaded too much. Add more tone to the upper lip. And I see that the upper lip, the right one, is not so sharp. We can soften it. And the left is straighter. So I'll show it like this. With teeth, always be careful with shadows, because if you make them too harsh, you'll get cartoon teeth. I think they're still a little wide. We can slightly adjust the lips to make them thinner. Well, I think at this stage we will stop. Now, finally, our drawing became more realistic. Already, even at this stage, people looking can guess who we are drawing. In the next lesson, we will focus on correcting small proportion mistakes. For now, I wish you a good mood. See you!